There is a wolf on a hill, and below him is the strangest thing he has ever smelled. This is not the story of how wolves became dogs. It is the story of why choosing humans may have been the smartest gamble any animal ever made. Smoke, meat, fat, fire. He can hear humans moving in the dark. He can smell bones, skins, old food, and warmth. If he goes closer, he could be chased off, injured, or killed. If he walks away, he goes back into the cold. When we imagine wolves in the Ice Age, we usually picture strength, teeth, speed, teamwork, perfect hunters built for the wild, and they were. But even perfect hunters can live on the edge. In the wild, survival was brutally expensive. Every hunt cost energy, every missed chase burned calories that were already hard to replace. A deep winter, a wounded leg, a stronger rival pack, or prey that simply kept getting away, could turn a healthy animal into a starving one very fast. A wolf that gets injured while hunting does not just lose one meal, it loses its margin. A mother with pups does not just need food for herself, she needs enough to keep the next generation alive. The real story is not that wolves were weak, the story is that life in the wild had very little room for error. That matters, because once survival margins get thin enough, even a dangerous new option can start to look attractive. And humans were exactly that, not safe, just different. They were making one tiny patch of the world more stable than the land around it. Humans did something unusual to the landscape. Wherever they camped, they created a little pocket of predictable opportunity. A human camp had scraps, bones with marrow inside, bits of meat, grease, skin, refuse. To us, that sounds messy. To a hungry wolf, that smells like calories. Humans also had fire. Fire meant warmth at the edge of freezing nights. It meant light. It meant other predators might hesitate. And human camps kept appearing again and again. For a bold wolf, that changed the math. Chasing prey across snow could fail 10 times in a row. A camp might always have something. This is where the story becomes less about anatomy and more about behavior. Not every wolf would have gone near a human camp. Some would have been too aggressive, some too fearful, some too reactive to tolerate the noise, fire, smell, and unpredictability of humans at all. But a few were different. A little calmer, a little more curious, a little more willing to wait, watch, and approach without attacking. Those animals had an advantage in this new human-shaped environment. They did not need to become tame overnight. They only needed to be less disastrous than the others. Maybe they stayed at the edges and cleaned up waste. Maybe they learnt that following humans could lead to carcasses, and humans probably noticed. The wolf that attacked was a threat. The wolf that lingered, barked, watched, and helped clean the edges of camp may have been tolerated first. Not loved, tolerated. Because the first step in this relationship was probably not affection. It was usefulness. Once some wolves started staying near humans, survival began to work differently for them. This is where a gamble turns into a long-term strategy. A slightly calmer animal gets closer. A closer animal eats better. A better-fed animal raises more pups. And little by little, the line between wild wolf and early dog begins to blur. Their pups were born closer to camps. They grew up around human sounds, human smells, and human rhythms. The animals best suited to that life were the ones most likely to survive, reproduce, and pass those traits on. They were plugging into a richer, if still dangerous, system. Humans were changing too. A group that tolerated useful animals gained its own advantages. These animals could warn, guard, track, sniff out threats, and eventually help on hunts. Humans that kept them nearby may have survived better too. So this was never a one-sided transformation. It was a feedback loop. Wolves were adapting to humans. Humans were adapting to wolves. And the relationship kept rewarding both sides. They were not simply captured and remade by force. At the deepest level, their ancestors may have entered one of the most successful survival partnerships in history. We usually tell this story from the human side. We say humans chose dogs, but before any of that happened, there may have been a more important decision. Somewhere in the Ice Age, one hungry wolf looked down at a human fire and made a choice. Dogs chose us first, not because humans were cute, not because we were kind. They chose us because we were useful. We were warm, social, violent, predictable in our own strange way. Before dogs became our companions, humans became their best survival strategy, and neither species was ever the same again.